Thank you for having me. I want to thank you guys for being on time. Because you guys didn't go to 43,000 people. It's time to go. I'm so excited about being here because
take your time, Captain.
I wanted to see how I can really break this in because we've been off course for a long time in our country. And I know as a commercial airline captain, if you be just 1/10 degree off course, you'll never arrive at the destination. So we're ready to push back from the gate of despair, inequality, injustice, poverty, ignorance, complacency, dependency, and lack. We want to set sail. We want to embark on a new journey to knowledge, wealth, power, interdependency. We want to head to the wealthy place. God has been waiting for us to come together. He said in Psalms 133, oh, how good it is for the brothers to dwell together in unity. He said, where you are in unity, I will command the blessings on you. He's ready to address the real issues that have been plaguing our society. So before we launch, here's a little about you, Captain. I'm a son, I'm a brother to 10 of my beloved siblings, a father, a husband for 37 years, and a man of God.
Amen.
A few years, I did get to witness Dr. King's life with my own eyes. It inspired me to what I'm about to share with you. But it was the night of the Watts riot when our community burned down in Los Angeles, August 11, 1965, that I got the wake-up call at 7. And then 3 years later, Dr. King he left the planet. And it was that night that I made the decision that I would accept Dr. King's, I would accept what he put out there about becoming a dreamer. He dreamt of a nation where young black children like myself at the time could soar through the skies, unburdened by the shackles of prejudice. It just so happened we lived under the flight path of airplanes arriving and taking off from LAX. So with the passing of every plane's loud roar, my dream to fly one day began to take root. Becoming the captain I am today was not without challenges, racial discrimination, and lawsuits. And however, these experiences have equipped me for the journey we will take together. I'm going to be reading from my flight plan so we can arrive at our destination on time. So sit back, relax, enjoy the flight, and welcome aboard. As you all may know, we have been living in interesting times. We are currently living out the legacy of COVID-19 and its impact on the world and our daily behaviors. Throughout the uncertainty of the last few years, one thing I can say that has encouraged me and brought me hope was our ability to work together. Our efforts ultimately led to a better chance for survival. We were able to get on one accord with the issue of the mask. Kind of, sort of. The mask has brought us together. We learned to social distance, and I saw on countless occasions at the airport and on board the airplane a genuine care towards each other, no matter what each other looked like. This level of unity was what Dr. King was all about, so I'm happy to stand here today with all of you under the radiant legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a figure whose name still casts a beacon of hope in these ever-turbulent times. The past few years served as a reminder of our shared vulnerability and interconnectedness in the face of problems, but it also revealed a profound truth. Our immunity is not forged in isolation, but in unity. In those moments, I saw a glimpse of a dream yet fulfilled, but so also so close. Today is proof that we are making great strides towards that dream that our Dr. King championed, because we're all here to celebrate his greatest sermons, his relentless activities, and the tireless pursuit of justice. I appreciate his unwavering belief in the transformative power of unity, because it trailblazed the path for many, like myself. The racial barriers I faced were always hard, but I learned to face them in unison with others so that we can lead a different life. When I had to sue 3 major airlines for racial hiring practice, doing so without pilots resulted in 3 settlements. And most importantly, the creation of new hiring policies that benefited Black and minority pilots. So the reality of segregation in the airspace of commercial aviation would no longer exist. My 40 years of flying wasn't just about personal triumph. It was about reaching barriers, paving the way for others, and witnessing the power of collective action. Yet the harsh reality of America's past, built on the bedrock of slavery, cast a long shadow. The scars of that legacy still bleed, dividing us along lines of race and class, reminding us that the American dream for many remains a mirage. The evidence of these wounds persisting is our failing social economic system, the structures. The unity we often encounter is fleeting and will come by the fires of external threats, like wars. But the fragility of those moments are easily extinguished by self-interest and fear. But here's the truth. True immunity lies not in conformity, but in connection. It lies in understanding that our individual well-being is not a solo act, but in unison. And before I go too deep into what unity can bring, let's delve into the fertile soil from which it springs. We stand on the foundation laid by the first Americans, those whose hands tilled the land, built the infrastructure, and birthed a unique culture born on this very soil. Please understand, this is not about erasing the rich ancestry that binds us to Africa, but acknowledging our distinct cultural characteristics of the American slave, a culture that is woven from the very fabric of resilience, resistance, and a profound sense of belonging. Still this day, the narrative portrayed have made an incomplete picture that denies the rich legacy of our true identity. Imagine a world where America not only acknowledges the atrocities of their actions, but also celebrates the birth of a distinct culture that she helped birth. A culture that has stood on business for America in countless ways. Imagine a classroom where children learn about our struggle and the true extent of our accomplishment to the world, not as an isolated chapter, but as an integral part of the nation's story. But we must learn what the truth is. By the show of hands, how many of you want to operate in truth? Amen. Great. So the truth is, from the second generation of slaves on, those who were born on American soil carried echoes of our ancestors while developing a distinct identity. We were the first true American-born people, forged in this new nation, and our voice shaped all of American cultural expression, from the rhythms of Gullah Geechee to the soulful cries of the blues, to jazz and hip-hop. The entire world moved to the beats of our drums. From the impact of our vibrant storytelling tradition to our many innovations passed down through families allowed for not only for this nation, but this for the world. This is not a mere shadow of our African roots, but a vibrant expression that evolves and thrives in its own rights. With all that being said, simply, the American slave culture is America's first culture made up of the descendants of American slaves. If you are sitting here wondering if this applies to you, let me help you. If you can answer true to any of these statements, then you probably are a descendant of American slaves. Number one, I consider myself black, and I know my ancestries go back to the plantation in the American South. Number 2, I consider myself black, and unfortunately, I know I can't trace my ancestry beyond a few generations. Number 3, I consider myself black and know that I have not lived anywhere else in the world but in America my entire life, and that also goes for many generations ahead of me. If any of those were true for you, welcome to the culture, because you are probably a descendant of American slaves. Unfortunately, the American slave culture identity often goes unrecognized. Textbooks rarely acknowledge us as our contributions are devoted to footnotes in someone else's story. The media depiction continues to fall short, preserving harmful stereotypes and failing to capture the richness and diversity of our experience. Remember, acknowledging this truth isn't just about historical accuracy. It's a crucial step towards dismantling these stereotypes and gaining understanding and creating a just and equitable society. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., tragically stolen from us before his full vision could unfold, left behind a treasure trove of wisdom. Dr. King's vision wasn't just about integration into a system built on the work of our ancestors' stolen lives. It was about creating a legacy of self-determination, unity, and justice for all. We hold on to his dream of a beloved community where prejudice fades before the brilliance of character and opportunity rings like an unsilenced phone at the movies. But as I stand here decades later, we cannot ignore the truth that echoes in his final days. The house we invited to integrate into, he realized, was ablaze. Built upon the bedrock of white supremacy, it only offered baseless attempts at equality, while consumed by the power of systemic oppression. But before his final sunrise, a revelation bloomed, integrating into a burning house. While a worthy pursuit, it might not be the only path to liberation. This revelation, friends, is not Dr. King's dream unfilled, but an evolution, a blossoming rose on the same vine. So, in this moment of reckoning, let us not cling to ashes, but rise from the embers. Let us remember Dr. King's evolution. Let us realize that true liberation does not lie in fitting into a burning house, but in building a new one, brick by brick, with our own hands. The wisdom Dr. King left us defines our unity as our vehicle to community. It defines our unity to immunity. So let me introduce this concept of unity called the American slave nation to you. Not an act of retreat, but as a bold reclaiming our narrative. This nation is about building our own institutions, not out of spite, but out of necessity, crafting safety nets that cradle our communities. Educational opportunity that empowers our youth, and healthcare system that treat us with dignity and not as statistics or burdens. It is about reclaiming our agency, our narrative, and our future, not by conforming to a system that perpetuates inequality or inequity, but by building a beloved community from the ground up, a society where unity flourishes from the foundation of our shared history and the unshakable belief in our collective potential. This will not fix all the world's problems, but for us, it is a practical solution. It is a necessity. For too long, our contribution has been devoted to footnotes, our voices muffled by stereotypes. The American slave nation is like a symphony of self-determination, while our instruments are not weapons, but tools like economic institutions that empowers our communities and financial literacy that breaks the shackle of debt. Imagine a nation where healthcare, economic opportunity, and educational advancement are not privilege bestowed, but fundamental rights, accessible to all. A nation where economic strategy empowers families to build generational wealth, not chase the shadow of debt. Imagine communities patrolled by guardians, not oppressors, fostering trust and collaboration. This is the immunity we must strive for, an immunity not just from disease, but from a systemic injustice that plagues our communities. It is our duty and my personal privilege to honor Dr. King's legacy by building the beloved community, not within the confines of a burning house, but on a foundation that echoes the principles God champions, igniting a righteous movement striving for God's will for his creation, a true testament to the transformative power of unity. Dr. King once said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Let us, in this spirit, build a world where communities are not defined by their differences, but by the richness of their shared harmony, the legacy of their struggle, and the unwavering determination of their hope. I just want to say, as we make our final approach to landing, this is our call to action. This is the torch we carry forward. Let us honor Dr. King's legacy, not just with words, but with action. Let us remember immunity in unity is not just a dream. It is a choice we must make, not just today, but every single day until the descendants of American slaves are properly acknowledged and every American, regardless of age, contributes to and benefit from our shared pursuit of justice and equity through the American slave nation. Thank you in advance for joining us dreamers so that one day this is not only a beautiful dream, but a vibrant reality. It is God's plans for me to be back home in California to truly address the real issues that have been plaguing our people. Let's make it happen. My time is up. I thank you for yours. This is your captain. Give him a round of applause.